So back in the 1970s, Dr. Dorothy Tennov started studying people and what caused them to fall madly in love with someone else. And what she found was that there's actually things that start happening in a person's brain when they start to fall madly in love with another person. And she coined the term to describe this process as limerence. Dr. Helen Fisher has since taken over that work and she's done even more in the field. But what we see is that it typically happens. It doesn't have to happen at the beginning of every relationship, but it does typically happen. And it is aided by these 13 kind of characteristics that someone is going through when they're in limerence with another person. And a lot of them are actually paralleled. They actually look a lot like what it looks like to be in the middle of an addiction because the serotonin and dopamine levels are mimicking that of a person who is an addict. Limerence is not an addiction, but what it does in your brain and in your body is similar to where it leads you to want to continue chasing a high that another person is giving you. And so you tend to spend 85% of your waking hours thinking about this other person. You can't see any flaw in this other person, only good things, so on and so forth. It sounds a lot like the beginning of dating relationships that many of us have had. Like that's definitely how I felt about my husband when we started dating. Limerence, though, always ends because it's more of a biological way to connect with another person in order for that connection to be replaced by a long term committed relationship. So the problem happens when a married person enters into limerence with someone that they should not be in limerence in, like someone other than their spouse. Because then at that point, they start saying things like, I've never felt this way about anyone else. And then they'll start looking at their spouse and saying, I love you, but I'm not in love with you anymore. And they're being completely clouded by this emotional connection, this limerence that they have developed towards a person who is not their spouse. And that is a harder, so you can see why you would deal with that one differently than the first two, the short-lived or the allowed, because now you're trying to break someone of a high that they're wanting to continually chase. And it'll run its course in time. But the question is, how long is the standing spouse? That's what we call them, the person trying to save marriage. How long are they going to wait around for that other person to end the affair and break the limerence and come back around?
Did you enjoy this clip? If so, you can check out the entire conversation right here. And if you learned something valuable, I hope I was able to earn your subscription today.